welcome back to my channel. It is Shy Najee, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about college. So basically, I currently am a freshman and I am on my campus right now. I currently attend Coppin State University in Baltimore, Maryland. It is a HBCU. It's a very small HBCU. It's not very known. The other HBCU that's like more known is Morgan, obviously. I've been to Morgan. You know, a lot of people know Morgan, but Morgan and Coppin isn't that far away from each other. And Coppin is definitely a good choice if, you know, you want to go the cheaper or less expensive route. But we're going to go all into the details and everything. But before we get started, just make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment. And just let me know how you feel about the video. And, you know, if you guys would like a part 2, I will give you guys a part 2. But I feel like I really just want to cover everything in this one video. So, yeah. Okay, y'all. So when I first came to campus, as I said, I'm a freshman. So I came in August of 2022. But before we get into campus, let's talk about what you should do to prepare for campus or to prepare for, you know, coming into college. So as far as me personally, my high school experience was kind of personally cut short because of, as we all know, COVID. So like the second half of my 10th grade year is when COVID came about, and I wasn't able to have that full high school experience and do everything I wanted. But I would say that for sure, definitely make sure that you're doing something, honestly. Like, no matter if at this point, if you're a senior, it's kind of like the end of the road. But if you're a junior, don't feel like it's too late. It's never too late. Whether you're a junior, a sophomore, a freshman, especially if you're a freshman in high school right now, it's really like the prime time to like really set the pace for yourself for the next couple of years as you go throughout high school. So just make sure that, you know, you're not trying to be too cool for school. You know, go to school, get up and go to class. Sometimes it may be a little bit difficult, and I know, especially doing virtual classes and then having to go back in person. Like, I struggled a lot my junior year. My junior year is my worst year, y'all. Believe them when they say that, because it really get rough. But my senior year was a little rough too, but it wasn't as bad as my junior year. But I'm just gonna tell you guys how I was able to land here and from where I was at. So basically, my GPA when I graduated, I had about a 3.8 GPA. Throughout the years, my freshman year I had a 4.0 GPA. My sophomore year I had a 3.9 GPA, and then I had a very rough junior year, as I said, so my GPA dropped like tremendously. It was like a 3.3, I think, which is still not bad, but it was bad for me because I was all the way up here and then I went all the way down here. And then I was able to, I don't remember my exact GPA for my senior year, but I do know overall it did allow me to, you know, with my good foundation. That's why I always tell everybody to start off strong, because you never know, you know, where life is going to take you as you continue the high school journey. Like, if you have the ability and obviously everybody has the ability, but just really make time for when you feel good to put that out there into your schoolwork and your classwork, because when you don't feel good, it's going to show, because you're not going to want to put in that same effort as, you know, when you do feel good. So like I said, my overall GPA by the time I finished high school was around a 3.8. And something else that also helped me that I would encourage everyone to do is take AP classes. And a lot of people are intimidated by AP classes because it can seem like it's going to be very challenging or hard, and I'm not going to lie, like, they're not easy, but if you put in the work and you put in the effort, you can get it done. So what I did, which really saved me and helped me land here, I took 4 AP classes. So my junior year, I took 1 AP class, but my senior year, I took 4 AP classes, and I had 6 classes. So I had Spanish and entrepreneurship as my regular classes, and then I had biology, AP bio, AP psychology, AP calculus, and AP literature for my senior year. But what those classes did was it boosted my GPA because it's a harder class. So if you don't know how AP classes work, it's basically like it gives you a grade up since the class is so hard. So say if you was to get a B in your AP class, it would be equivalent to getting an A in your regular class. So that's one of the reasons why I really like the idea of having AP classes, was because even if I fell short, I wasn't falling short all the way. So like, it just always has that ability to bump your grade up one extra. So if you get a C in an AP class, it's the equivalent of getting a B in a regular class. So that really helped me out a lot with my AP classes. It wasn't easy, y'all. I'm gonna lie to you, especially at the beginning with AP calculus. I struggled a lot with AP calculus. Like, I even study and everything, but sometimes studying just don't be enough. Like, you really gotta grasp the information. And some people would just say, cheat on it or whatever, but you can't really cheat in calculus. Like, you just really gotta know what you're doing. So but that's what I did to help set me up. As far as extracurriculars, my first year I did track. I was able to do it my second year because, like I said, that's when COVID came about. But I was a part of different groups and not organizations, but different like after school programs. Like, I would do dance my senior year, and I also did something that was called the Blackout, which was basically like an event that we would have every February or March for Black History Month, and I controlled like the modeling section of that. So I did integrate myself some. I would say if I had the opportunity to integrate myself more, I definitely would have, but it's only but so much you can do when like the last year and a half of your high school career is virtual. So all right, y'all, so next is applying in admissions. So funny story for me, I really think my story is really unique and really funny because I feel like, I don't know, it was just a long shot. So like my freshman year, my middle school years, I always strive for more and I always wanted to do good for myself. Hence that's why I really put my foot on the gas my freshman year and got that 4.0. But by the time I got to my senior year, y'all, I was so burned out. Burnout is real. I was so burnt out, and I really didn't have it's like I had the grades, I had the classes, I had everything that I needed to have to apply to a bunch of schools, but I just physically felt like, or not even physically, but physically and mentally just felt drained. And I knew that I still wanted to go to college, but I don't know, there was just like some type of disconnect there. So what I ended up doing was I had an HBCU fair in my state, and my school took us there. It was like a field trip or whatever, and I applied to only 3 schools, y'all. No lie, I only applied to only 3 schools. So I applied here to Coppin State University. I applied to Delaware State University, which is my home HBCU, and I also applied to Livingstone College, which is in North Carolina. So I believe it is a Catholic or Christian HBCU. So out of those different choices that I applied to, the next step is finding scholarships and finding money. Now, on to scholarships and stuff. I am going to personally do a story time about how I found out that I got my scholarship and what my scholarship consists of a different time. I'm not going to go all the way into it. But if you are able to, that's why I say integrating yourself in high school is so important. Even if you're watching this in middle school, it's really important because you could get a scholarship for anything. And I feel like it's kind of harder to like get those little scholarships. Like, I feel like you have to be in direct contact to get a scholarship rather than applying to something online, because I've tried those too, y'all, and I don't think I've ever gotten one from just applying online to like some random website. If I'm just being honest, I would vouch for that before. Like, I would tell people, I'm going to give you this website, apply for these scholarships. But in my personal experience, it really just seemed like you really got to be, in person to really get those scholarships. So just be active and put yourself out there. Even if you're doing sports, you're going to get a scholarship for sports if you doing good, like if you up to par. Like, no matter if you do track, basketball, football, it's just going to happen. You're going to get that scholarship if you put in the effort and if you're a good player. But back to talking about the financial part of it. So when I first applied to my HBCU, I didn't get a scholarship or anything like that. I just let the admission process go through. And then I applied to, like I said, I applied to DSU. These were all instant decisions, guys. Instant decisions. So basically it was just like I immediately got accepted. So if they looked at my GPA and they liked what they seen, I was immediately getting accepted. So DSU, they covered my tuition. They didn't cover it at first, but what I had to do was I had to go retake my SAT. We'll get to that part. But Livingstone, they gave me like $15,000 or $20,000, and I don't know if that was just, I don't remember if it was just a one-time thing or per semester, but still, it just wasn't enough for me with how the cost and everything worked out. So as far as me retaking my SAT, this is another tip I would say to really do. Be persistent, y'all. Be persistent and be consistent, because this is something that you're putting money into, like literal money into, like thousands of dollars. Like no funny, no fake. Like it's really thousands of dollars. Like you literally have to pay anywhere from like $60,000 to $100,000, like per school year, just for you to get an education. So it's not something that you want to play about, not at all. So what happened was my GPA was fine, however my SAT score didn't match. So I had a good SAT score, but it wasn't their minimum, I believe. So basically what I had to do was I had to go back and retake my SAT. And this was my senior year of high school. I took it during the winter time. So that's another tip or piece of advice, is you got to get it done yourself. Like you can't wait for nobody to tell you. You can't wait for your mom, your dad, or whoever you live with to tell you, or your guidance counselor to tell you to go do it. Like if you know this is something that you may possibly want, you got to go out there and do it yourself. So what I did was, after they told me that if I was to take my SAT again and resubmit my application, that I could get my tuition covered, what I did was I went on the AP board. I forgot exactly how it goes, but it's like the apboard.org, where you can see like your SAT scores and everything. So I seen my SAT score when I took it the first time my junior year, and what I did was I looked for locations near me that was given SAT tests in my area. So I found one that was close by to me, and I went there myself and I retook it, and then I got the SAT score that I needed, and then I was able to, fully go through with DSU. However, I chose not to stay with DSU as a choice because, for one, like I said, they only cover my tuition, and there's a lot of other costs that go into it other than tuition. And also I wanted to get out of state. I didn't want to stay in state. I had already visited DSU a lot of times. I used to live by DSU, so it just wasn't something that necessarily, I'm not saying that it didn't intrigue me, but I just wanted to be away from home. Like, honestly, if family wanted to just pop up on me at any time at DSU, they could have. That's why I didn't choose DSU. I would have chose DSU though if I didn't get my scholarship from Coppin. Next is your FAFSA. So if you don't know what your FAFSA is, it's just what you have to apply for every year, just like your federal stuff, to ensure that you get some type of extra help or money with your college. So let me tell you guys a mistake that I made that I'm going to tell you guys so you guys don't make the same mistake. So basically, when I did my FAFSA, I thought I had it all down packed. So what I did was I took longer than my peers, because my peers was already knocking it out the door, as they should have. But I was struggling a little bit because my mom, which is the person that I needed to help me with the FAFSA information, because you have to put in tax information and government information, she wasn't really able to allot certain time, because it's just like we were like so busy, I guess. Like she would be at work, or I would be at school then be at work, and it was kind of hard for us to set aside time to sit down and get the FAFSA out the way. So I did do mine a little later. However, when I did do mine, I did it incorrectly because I did the wrong year. So always make sure that you're doing the right year. So if you're applying for your FAFSA in, like, I'm going to give you an example. So what I did was I put in a FAFSA for 2021 to 2022, which was incorrect because that's when I was a senior. But what you're really supposed to do is put in from the year that you go to the school, go to college, until the year that, basically like how a school year works. So I did 2021 to 2022, when in all actuality I should have done 2022 to 2023, because that's when I came to college in the fall of 2022. So just make sure that you always pick the right year, because if you pick the wrong year, it's not gonna matter. But if you do make the mistake that I did and do the wrong year, you still have the opportunity to go back and fix it and put in the right year. But as far as your FAFSA, you definitely want to be on top of that. Make sure that all the information is correct and make sure that everything is good, because that's how you're going to make sure that you get your extra money. So if you can't find no more scholarships at the moment, the government will give you extra money to help you assist in your financial costs when it comes to college. Moving process. Okay, y'all, so the moving process for me was kind of crazy. My school, even though I said that I wanted to be kind of far away, my school isn't completely far away from where I live. On a good day, when there's no traffic, it's about an hour and a half. But on moving day, y'all, I was so stressed because it took us 3 hours to get from where I live to here at Coppin State University. Moving day was very stressful, very, very stressful. But I would say, as far as like making sure that you have everything prepared and ready, definitely do that. Like, you want to make sure that you buy all your stuff. I'm gonna do a whole separate video about moving day, but I'm gonna just try to hurry up and touch on it real quick. But just make sure that you have everything together, have everything packed, don't pack last minute, have everything right together so you can move in when it's time to move in. Make sure that you follow the times and everything like that, because it's gonna be busy, especially if you go to a bigger campus or a bigger college. It's going to be extremely busy and extremely packed. Me, luckily, it was a little busy when I first got here on moving day, but it wasn't tremendously busy because my campus is, very much smaller than another HBCU. Okay, y'all, so as far as your roommate, basically, I would say, just because you're friends with somebody doesn't mean that you're gonna want to live with them or be a roommate. So if you want to choose like your best friend, like if y'all going to the same college, if you want to choose them to be your roommate, that's up to you, that's fine. But just because you guys have been friends doesn't mean that you're capable with living together, because it's a lot of different speculations or like, trials and errors with living with someone. Like, you don't have your own space anymore. And even if you didn't have your own space before you came to college, if you were living with a sibling, that's your sibling. So like, certain things you could do around them and stuff like that. But when you're moving in with someone else, you can't do certain things anymore. Some of the things that you may clash on is as far as like, the look of the room, if you have a TV or not, music, how you guys like to sleep. Maybe one person likes to sleep with the light on or the other person likes to sleep with the light off. And just stuff like that. As far as having a random roommate, it may not be as bad as it may seem, because like I said, you never know how the process with living with someone is going to be. I have not had a roommate horror story. Me and my roommate actually picked each other. So basically, a few months before we started school, she reached out to me on Instagram, and we decided to start communicating with each other, and we decided that we was going to pick each other to be, our roommates. But there was a little bit confusion. We were assigned to different people when the housing process actually came about, but then the housing department was able to fix it and put us back together. I wasn't really upset about it because, like I said, I was looking forward to living with her, but you never know until you actually start living with somebody how you guys are going to make it out while living with each other. But we've been pretty good so far. There are different areas where we have bumped our heads, just being transparent, whether it be like, different sleeping schedules, because she's like a night owl, and that's the time that most people go to sleep, which I go to sleep at nighttime, but she's up during the nighttime, and then vice versa. Like, I'm up and moving around during the daytime in the room, but she's asleep during the daytime. So it's little different areas where we didn't see eye to eye or didn't agree, but I feel like as two mature people, teenagers and adults, you could just talk about it and, figure it out. Like I said, I personally haven't had no drama or anything like that. I don't understand, how some people be wanting to fight their roommate over the littlest things. Like, if they're really being disrespectful, then okay, I can get how it may get to that point. But if it's just little stuff that y'all disagree about, just talk about it. I feel like the only way where you would have to take it to someone else, as far as like your RA or a person that's in charge of housing, is if they're being disrespectful, if your stuff goes missing, if they touch it, touch your things, or if they try to get aggressive with you. But other than that, y'all should just be able to just talk it out and see if it could, be better, because it's never gonna be perfect, 100% perfect with no roommate, honestly. I know that some people also have the option to choose to be a single dorm and not have a roommate, but I haven't seen much of that, honestly. I only see that sometimes. Y'all, so as far as housing, the housing process can be very, very difficult, I would say, because everybody's trying to get housing all at once. Me personally, I waited to the last minute, but I felt I had a good spirit in my heart that was telling me that even though I waited to the last minute, it's gonna be okay. But I intentionally waited to the last minute. But I would not advise that to you guys, especially if you're going to a bigger community. Why do I keep saying community? Especially if you're going to a bigger college or a bigger campus. I would not recommend that, because if you don't have housing no more, you're just not gonna have housing, and you gotta figure it out. So especially if you live out of state, as soon as it open up, apply for it and make sure that you have everything that you need to get housing. Me personally, the reason why I waited had something to do with some type of paperwork that I wasn't ready to put in, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to put the paperwork in to come to school. But like I said, I was able to get everything going through, but it's still like a tedious process with housing, because sometimes the housing department is unorganized, and a lot of different departments can be unorganized on campus. Moving into the first week, so when I first got to college, y'all, I didn't really have the same expectations that everybody else had, but I kind of got I was able to kind of loosen myself out of my shell. So the first week I was putting on that's the first week of any type of grade or whatever the case may be, but the first week I was putting on all the nice fits, y'all. I started doing my makeup. I'm not really I was never really a person that did my makeup a lot until I got to college. I feel like this is the most that I've ever done my makeup. I would do my makeup playing around and stuff while I was younger, but as far as something that looked nice and decent, or if I had some type of event like my birthday or something, I would just have my older sister do my makeup and stuff like that, because I didn't really know how to do much myself. But being that she's not with me in college, I kind of had to figure it out. But the first week there's gonna be a lot of events. It's gonna be welcome week, so I don't know, there may be a barbecue because it still be hot outside. There may be, I don't know, football stuff going on. My school, we personally don't have football, so it wasn't much football going on, y'all. I'm gonna just be honest, but we did have little events on the field and stuff. But yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of good events. Make sure you go to the events. I was going to the events. I was going to any and every event that I could go to, because it's just I don't know. I feel like with the opportunity that I was given with my scholarship, I feel like that was just, my prayers in a way being answered, because, a lot of time throughout my middle school and high school career, I would wait and just be so persistent and so have so much faith and passion in my heart about getting here to this point. So now it's just I'm here at this point. I can't waste it. And I felt like a lot of time before, even in high school, that I had some points in my life where it was wasted, especially with COVID coming in a way. I wasn't able to go to my full potential. I'm not one of those people that just want to go to class and go home and not do nothing. I want to put a name for myself. I want to be more. I want to do more. So I was going to events and stuff like that. The first week is not going to be your forever, though. So I just want y'all to know that how stuff is the first week doesn't mean that's how it's going to be forever. Just because a lot of events the first week, that doesn't mean that's always going to be a lot of events. Just because you're talking to some of the same people the first week doesn't mean that you're going to continue to talk to them for forever. So just enjoy the first week. Make sure that you're outside and being a part of different events, and maybe even try to go to something that you may not think that you may like, and just go anyways. Like, for example, you could go to like a paint night even if you might not like painting, but you never know, maybe you like the vibe and stuff that's going on. So the first week is definitely gonna be a lot going on. Next is classes. Me personally, I just be feeling like so chosen. I don't know, maybe I just be being so centered, y'all, but I be feeling so chosen because my first semester I only had 5 classes, and my 5 classes was good. It was working for me. I would say though, when people say that 8 a.m. in college is not the same 8 a.m. as in high school, that's very true. Do not do no 8 a.m. y'all, unless y'all are truly a morning person. If you're not a morning person, don't do it. My earliest class my first semester was at like 9:30. This semester, my earliest class is 10 o'clock. But last semester, I was pretty much good. So I would have class from like 9:30 to 10:50. And then on another day, like none of my classes went past 1 o'clock. So the latest day that I would have a late class would be Thursday, and that would be from like 12 to 12:50. That was freshman seminar. And I pretty much had the whole rest of the day to myself. So I really love that because it allowed me to, go to these types of events and do different stuff. And it also allowed me time to get my work done. So don't overwhelm yourself with class. Don't do a class that's too early if you don't think you can handle it, and also don't do a class that's too late if you don't think that you can handle it. Like this semester I have a dance class that's from 5:30 to 7:30 at night, but it's only every Thursday, and I'm okay with that because I know that I could set time aside on Thursday to go to my class, and that's why I chose that class. All right, y'all, so as far as y'all professors, I don't know if it's just my campus or what, but some professors really be unprofessional, and we could talk about it. All right, y'all, so I'm going to tell y'all about my first semester, and then I'm going to move on to this semester. My first semester, I had English. That teacher, he wasn't necessarily... I can't say that he wasn't unprofessional, but I can't say that he was professional. He was very eccentric. He was an older man, but it's just like some of the stuff that he would say and do just wouldn't make sense. Like, we wouldn't know our grades until after the fact. He had his own different grading system that was a little different than the universities. All of our stuff was paper graded. We didn't have no type of digital grade. So that was very difficult for us to try to figure out. I had a philosophy teacher, y'all. This is like my class horror story. I would tell everybody about this. We literally had to get a book for this class, y'all. And we never went past chapter 1 for the whole first semester. From August to December, we never went past chapter 1. 1.4 to be specific. The most that we probably even reached was like 1.6. But he would literally be late to class every day, like 10 to 20 minutes late every class. And the class was only 50 minutes long. He would go over the same things repeatedly. We barely had any assignments. We probably only had like 4 assignments the whole semester. And he was another paper grader that wouldn't put anything in the system. And it upset me because I didn't get a grade that I wanted to get in that class. So my overall grade in that class was like a B. But it's like, if I'm doing all the work that you given me and we only had like 4 assignments, you just throwing random grades out here. Like, and I tried to talk to different people about it, like even one of my professors, and she just like laughed it off. Like, she's like, oh, I know him, he really doesn't do that. I'm so surprised that this is how this professor is. Like, if the whole class, and it wasn't just me, y'all, it was my whole class. Like, if the whole class is telling you that this professor is not doing his job and he's making us suffer, obviously you can't do nothing directly as another professor because you're his equal as far as, career-wise. But you could give us the right steps and precautions that we need to take in order to reach someone else to fix this problem. But they were just full of nonsense, honestly. But I'm just glad that that's over. I'm trying to think about my other classes that I had. I had freshman seminar. Freshman seminar was, pretty professional as far as the grades and everything. I had a good grade in there. It's no reason why you shouldn't have a good grade in freshman seminar. It's just speaking about your own personal experience with school and your own thoughts. So do that work, y'all. Don't get a bad grade in freshman seminar. It's absolutely zero reason why you should have a bad grade in here. What other classes did I have? Oh, y'all, I also had African American history. That class, I was excited because that's my thing. Like, African American history, that's my thing. But it's just, I don't know. I like the professor, and the professor liked me because I knew what I was talking about in there. But I feel like at a certain point in time, it just became overwhelming because, like, we had a lot that we had to read in a short time period, and it was just, like, honestly impossible. Like, it was just a lot to read all that stuff, so it was a lot going on.
Feeling young, but they treat me like the OG, and they want the T on me. I swear these bitches nosy.